Dan wasn't ready.
I
like
was
20
not
minutes
ready,
ago.
but we are here. The show is happening. This is what you've been waiting for. The Dirty South is going to reveal Florida's top 10 teams from 2015 to 2025. Who's
Why are
it
we
going to
doing this?
be? Yeah, a little wild. We like to put ourselves out there. I think it's going to be fun. Uh,
I think first off, what we need to say is that Jason came to us and said if we didn't do this show, he was going to release the video of me and Daniel at the Coldplay concert. And we flipped out and we're like, oh, all right, fine. Well,
yeah,
I've never been to
yeah,
Coldplay,
yeah.
but he scared me
He's,
enough that we got to do this
yeah,
list.
so we had to. Yeah.
It's against our will that we're doing this. So all hatred should go to him.
Yes. With that being said, welcome to the Dirty South. Yes.
Oh gosh,
Oh,
I now I get I just love the fact that I got that on video. It's
yes.
just great. It's just great.
Oh,
Oh man. No, these so to be fair to both Dan and Brant, like they have they have their lanes and their things that they feel very comfortable with and that sort of thing. And I am the person who kind of comes up with things like this and goes, I wonder what would happen. I'm really interested in this or that or whatever. And I have my opinions, and who knows if those opinions are right or wrong or whatever. But I think that I think we all and the genesis of this, so, like this most recent one is I talked to Vic Balmaceda, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and I basically asked him like, what is your best South Dade squad? This is when they're on that run, and he's like, it could be this squad, it could be this squad, it could be this squad,
sure.
and that's kind of what I mean. A lot of this is it's not only putting other teams against other teams, but it's coming within the programs and figuring out which of those years was the best one.
Yeah.
And Dan decided to go down the rabbit hole yesterday and decided to put 2018 LHP versus 2025 LHP. But we'll get to that in a little while.
Yeah.
Let's not let's not start
I
there.
did go down there, but both great teams, and that was fun. Obviously,
Yeah,
2025 is not up for this discussion because
they're
this
not.
is for the FHSAA
According to
competitive.
the text that we got from Jason last week, not only FHSAA teams qualify, which is the same text. That I was like, what the hell are we doing when he came up
Yes,
That
with
is
this
and
right.
idea?
and we could only, to be fair to everybody in the state, it was one squad. We have a number of programs that fit the criteria that had a team here or there, and some had multiple teams that could make this list. But we wanted to just do one team per
Spread
program,
the
right?
anger. I mean, spread the love.
Spread the anger. Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
you know what? If I didn't step in it enough when we did the top 25
We don't
individuals,
want
Yeah. This
angry
was.
emails just from programs. We want them
Oh.
from individual teams.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's
Will
right.
really upset people when we do the all decade team 1A, 2A, 3A. It's only going to be 14 kids from each. That'll be really
Yeah, have
Yeah,
fun with it.
upsetting.
that'll be a lot of fun. That'll be a lot of
Yeah.
fun. So let's
All
start.
right, so you want
Yes.
to start with 10 and go to one,
Well,
correct?
We're
start
going to
with
start with 10, but
start with
we're
the
going to start somewhere else
parameters
first.
let's talk about what went into each pick
Yeah. So
because I
I
think
want
we
to
all
know.
attacked this a different way. Well, Dan and I have a
Yeah.
lot of the same ones, but I think we had like different
Yeah.
ideas that we looked at when we were picking these teams.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with you, Brant, and just a general question, like just a big picture question. We said what is the best team,
Hmm.
but people define the best team very differently. So for you, what was important as far as a team, defining a team?
I took lots of different angles on this. Obviously, some of my teams are on this list because of they were just dominant or what they performed. Some of the teams on my list are for specific performances, how they came up in the clutch. And then there's teams on my list that are historic in terms of what they were able to accomplish, where maybe even within that program, there may be other teams you're like, oh, well, that team's better. But the one team needed to be there to kind of create different things. So it's
Hmm.
kind of across the board for me when I looked across. Uh, I didn't want to just pick, oh, they had 5 champs. They had four champs. I wanted to kind of look into each program because if you think about it, if you actually look at the past 10 years, there's only what 11, 12 teams I think to even choose programs to even choose from that have won a state title. And so I went through the state title teams and kind of picked out like different things that they were able to accomplish and based it off of that. So some of you, I know you have a few that are different than mine where maybe if those two went head to head, your team might win, but I went for maybe there was historical significance or the way they won was such a way that I think impacted the sport more than the other one.
So before I go to Dan, I want to ask you, do you think you have to have won a state title to be considered?
I did for this. And in fact, I
You
got
did.
email because you guys started putting this on social media and then I knew we were done and we had to do the show. I even wrecked my computer yesterday so we wouldn't have to do the show. Actually, that's probably all the Russian bots that are sending me transfers, but that's another story. Um, I I actually had someone suggest that our next topic should be the 10 best runner-up teams in the state and put that together. But I put a
Or
lot of
the
thought
or the
into.
10 best transfers.
I mean, yeah, man, you should have seen some of the ones I had from Russia. Uh, but but yeah, so I in my list, state champion, winning a state title went beyond what was kind of a thing I was looking at.
Okay. All right. Dan, how did you define team?
Well, I looked at colors. I really like colors. No.
He
That's
Um,
kind of a joke, people. Not
it's kind of
entirely.
you know he's like
so I mean,
he
listen,
picks football teams based
obviously,
on their helmets, which
yes,
ones
I
he likes
do.
looking at.
I mean, obviously, state titles are important, but it wasn't the only thing I took into consideration. I mean, there are teams out there that I felt should be on this list without an IBT title. Um, and I did look at the points scored in placers and
Just to
who
note,
they.
winning a state dual title is a state title, but go on.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
understood,
that's true.
but I also kind of looked at a little bit of where they won, right? So at the year they won, who were they competing against as compared to the year they won? Who were they competing against? Things like that. I think I took all that into consideration. So, no, like I looked at one team that beat two massive programs, and then another team that won it that beat a couple of like certain things like that. Not to take anything away from either team. Either team is tremendous, and maybe head to head, one team would have beat the other, obviously. But um,
Yeah.
I think all that we need to look at.
Well, Coach Tony Cirillo is going to be very disappointed that you really put a lot of thought and effort into this there,
Yes,
Daniel.
Coach Tony was really disappointed that I actually did some homework on this,
He
and
actually has a
actually,
method, people.
Yes, there was thought into his.
yes, and I actually,
And I gotta say,
uh,
when I said you'll learn when I sent mine in, I didn't look at yours ahead of time, and then I
right.
realized like our top eight was our top seven was like a mirror image of each other. I'm like,
Yeah,
did
we
I
didn't
do this
see each
wrong?
other. Yeah, we didn't see each other's till we saw each other's, and most of ours are the
It's
same.
like, did I get these
I,
wrong?
I
I'm
think
agreeing with
Jason just
Ward.
likes to, yeah, Jason just likes to throw some curveballs. So I think he didn't pick his till he saw ours, and then he added some other ones in there. But
I
no,
actually,
and actually, after doing more of my homework, I feel like the top 10 that I turned in, I
Ooh, he doesn't like it
probably,
anymore.
I probably could have moved some. No, the top five, top six. I mean, I think those are all. I mean, I
so
think
let's actually
those are there.
start
But
there with your number 10 because your number 10 is not our number 10.
no,
Your number 10 is Brant's number 7 and my number 8. We both felt like they deserved a consideration in the top 10. You had some regrets about where you placed them after you submitted your list.
yes, I
So,
did.
what was it about the 22 Palmetto Ridge team that kind of gave you a little bit of, I'm not sure where to put them?
You know, they were so good. Um, and they were so good during a year that Southwest and South Dade were so good, right? So they went and they won the duel with that tremendous lineup. and the team just doesn't get enough respect. People don't talk about them enough. And then
Some
as
people
I'm
put them at
breaking,
10.
yeah, 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 like me. And then so I needed, so first off, when we first did this, I said Palmetto Ridge has to be in there, right? And then as I was initially going through, I was like, okay, so at what level? And then you look at some of the other teams, and that's where I ended up with them. But then as I started doing my homework, I felt like I would probably be closer to where you guys were with Palmetto Ridge.
All right.
But
So
they're
let's
my 10. They're
so
my
let's
10.
pivot to Brant. And Brant, you put them at 7, and we'll talk about the three teams below them in a minute. But why did they rise to 7 for you?
I mean, it was that one Saturday morning, just in Osceola High School. They beat South Dade. They did uh, the unthinkable to most. South Dade has just dominated through the state dual series, and they've done it a difficult way, being in the same district, and then region play in it with Southwest, who some of those years you could argue Southwest Miami was the second best team. So South Day, got through there every year. Uh, a lot of times their state duels has been a coronation. Just stay healthy and bring guys in. And 2022 they were well matched against Palmetto Ridge, and Palmetto Ridge came through in all the spots they had to. And it wasn't, you had like Brendan Van Hoke, you had Tyler Washburn, you had those huge guns, but you also had guys in that duel that didn't get pinned, that you had one or two shocking wins. And just the energy. It's still one of my favorite videos I have is when they clinch it, and you just see the entire team had just bought into it. But
Brant,
they
how about it's their first year in 3A? They had a lot of
That's
success
true
in
too.
2A, and they go to 3A, and everybody thinks, oh, they'll never do it again, right?
Well, I had him picked, I believe, going into that. I'd have to look back if I actually, but I mean, we knew that was the one to watch. Like every year we go to state duels and we know there's one to watch. We knew this was going to be tough. Uh, we knew South Dade had a couple holes at the time with injuries and some weight things. They obviously fixed it and came back and won the IBT that year, which was actually a thrilling win for them in the IBT. But just the way that Palmetto Ridge circled this as this is the year that they're deep enough. Because win a state duels, you need to have 14 guys that can go out there and give you something. And that's what this team did. And that to me, there's two big moments, and I'll talk about the other moment later that I think have defined, maybe three moments that have defined the state dual series. This is a fledgling thing. That's one of the moments that has been like, this is amazing. And we're so lucky to have this happen. This was one of those moments when they won the
Yeah, I
state
agree
title.
with you. So it's weird to me. I know my biases, and I know I have a tendency when we talk about teams, I have a tendency to lean more towards duels. I do think dominant performance in traditional is super important and everything else, but team to me is not just your collection of your six studs, right? It is the coach's ability to bring the other kids, the number 7, number 8, number 9, number 10 kid, number 11 kid to not get to do their job. And I think that plays a huge role. And it did in that duel. And I know we point to that win, but for people who weren't there, I mean, that is it doesn't don't know the history. Them beating South Dade is just a monumental win. I mean, it's not they were a great team, but it didn't matter. South Dade was so dominant. It was just such a good win. So
Yep.
I agree with you. I have them number 8. A team that consistently was for us in the top 10. They were number 9 for Ward, number 10 for both Brant and I was Charlotte High School and Evan Robinson's crew down there in 2021. Brant, what was it about Charlotte that kind of, they're right there for you? And I think you're going to say the same things that kind of make it up for me.
Yeah, and honestly, there's no insult being at 10. When you hear us talk about some of these other teams, you'll see why. But I mean, this was a great Charlotte team. You had, Lucas Willis, Andrew Austin, Cody Rice, just three state champs. You had they win 2A. Anytime you win 2A, you get a notch in mine. And I forget how many we had, how many Charlotte teams we had to pick through here. We had three that you had placed out for us to look at. But this was the one that to me, I mean, it was the state championship team, but just kind of some depth on there too, and that's why they made it onto the list.
Well, and what Dan said, I think was really relevant in this situation. They beat a good Palmetto Ridge team
Yeah,
in 20 and for that state title. Dan, was that one of the reasons why you had them number nine?
Yeah, I slid him up to number nine. You know, a lot of the same kids from the team, and just, I mean, just loaded. Andrew Austin, Cameron French, Lucas Willis, Cody Rice, Isaac Church. I mean, the team was just super solid. They scored over 200 points. They placed 11 kids. I mean, I just couldn't overlook that.
Yeah. All right, so let's move. We're gonna skip Brant's number nine for just a second because I want to talk about
Because he's
um
wrong.
I want to talk about
No, no, I'm
this.
just kidding. I'm just
no,
I want to talk
you
about
think I'm wrong. Well, there's text messages that
kidding.
confirm that you think I'm wrong.
Well,
I,
Jason does too.
number eight for Dan, number eight for Brant, number nine for me was one of the teams that is the Mater Lakes team from this past year. The only reason I have them bumped down to nine, I want to start with me. The reason mine is a little bit lower than yours is through no fault of their own, and that is, this is the year that I mean they could have beat Somerset last year,
Mhm.
but it came up just short. Um, they they didn't get Somerset in 1A this year. They didn't get Jensen Beach, this year, because both those teams moved up. It's not a slight to the 2025 team, but when you're looking at it and trying to place them, for me, who they wrestled, the competition, and all those sorts of things plays a role in where I put them. So that's the reason I have them at number nine. Dan, you have them at number eight. What was it about Mater Lakes that and I always slaughter it. Is it Mater? It's Matter. It's right.
I
It's
believe
Matter.
I had this confirmed to me, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, what did they tell me
Yeah.
again? It's
No,
Matter Lake.
The
Like
Tomater.
Bears.
I've
It's
had,
The Bears.
tomater.
I
It's tomater. I mean, listen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They brought 12 kids to the dance. They put 11 on the podium. They put
and the
five,
12th was hurt. So
12th was heard. They put five on the top of the podium. They put two in fourth, one in third. I mean, it was a year that they have waited for, they have built up to. All their young kids have grown up and have learned to win and have learned to wrestle in the big moments. And I think, the coaching staff there, they do a good job of preparing these kids and watching matches that go on during the year to get them ready for each and every match. And yeah, it is definitely a year that it would have been cool to see those two that had a big rivalry in 1A go at it. But with Somerset moving up, and we'll get to them shortly, uh, they took care of business where they had to take care of business in a 1A. Now, let's not get it twisted. 1A, Merritt Island has become very tough. Zephyr Hills has become very tough.
I, you're
Cocoa
you're
Beach is
that point
growing.
is right. Yeah,
Uh,
your point is
you've
correct.
got uh, uh, the Mako boys down there,
Cardinal Gibbons. Yeah.
Cardinal Gibbons with the twins, and I could keep going and going and going. But
No, you're right. You're right.
uh,
I mean,
but
I
the
wasn't. I didn't.
I'm gonna say the reason that they're eight on mine is probably because they were too dominant. Because I'm looking at the ones I have above them. I'm looking at their list right now, and I'm like, this team's loaded. And just a note, most of these guys are coming back. And I'm looking at some of these teams that I have rated higher, and they probably beat them. But because I was looking for the story and the historical significance, maybe on a bigger scale, that's probably why this team slipped down on me because they just made it look so easy last year. And maybe if they had like a come from behind finals match, like two of the teams in front of them on my list, maybe I ranked them higher. But this team was one of the best teams we've seen, and the youth of it, the fact that so many of it is back this year, to do it again is significant. So I think they are lower on my list, and I have them at 8 because they were too good. I think I'm just
Yeah.
trying to figure out why I have them there, and I think that's why.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and I think that this is important to point out to everyone else. Like, you know, Brant's like, oh, we're gonna do this, and gonna get emails and talk about this and all these sorts of things, and you know what? We might get a few from all sorts of different places. This is an opinion. We recognize, or we try to recognize our biases. We try to understand, the stories play a huge role, and tradition plays a role, and all these things play a role in kind of where we put different groups or different teams. The truth is, I don't think you can line them up against one another and say this team would beat this team. That's why they should be number 6 versus number 7. That's
Right.
that's not kind of how. Are
And
we
we're
talking
having
about?
fun. And we're having
Yeah.
fun.
Are we going to talk about this as being a duel? Are we talking this being a
Right.
IBT? I mean, there's so many different variables that go into play.
Yeah.
So that's why we're going to move to number 9 on Brandt's list.
Yes.
A's, they are not on our list, and honestly, I don't I don't disagree. I just couldn't fit them in the top 10. So why do you
Right.
have the
I think the same thing with me.
2016 Brandon Eagles?
I think the
Well, they
same thing with
won
me.
a
I
state
don't
title.
disagree, but
They
it
won a
just,
state title in 2A. They beat a very good Riverdale squad. They had 4 champs. Uh, Trey Lane starting his career with a state champ. Kyle Nordstrom ending his high school career with a state title. Frank Bruno, Joe Marcano was on that team. Andreas Bond was on that team. Not a team that I know when you think Brandon and they dominated for so long, and then they won the 2017 title also. That was their last team title. Not as dominant performance, kind of crazy year in 2A. So many different teams. I mean, I think they barely scored 100 and maybe 110 points. I think in the next year to win their last title. But to me, this is a recognition of uh, what Brandon was and kind of the final uh, fireworks and icing on their cake was this title, and it was a good 2A battle that year, and so that's how they made it on my list. It's a state championship team with 4 champs. That's pretty impressive to me.
yeah. I think for me, I agree. Doing my homework and seeing if you're only going to bring 7 guys to the dance, that's the right 7 guys to bring there. Um,
Seven
but
guys, and they all placed in the top 3.
right for me, my when I got into wrestling, it was right around 2018, when my son started doing that. That's the first time I got to kind of get out on the landscape and saw state tournaments and seen this. So I never really got a chance to go back and look at that. So, my picks were based on the history of me and what I've seen with my own eyes. And that's why they weren't on my list.
Yeah, no, there are limitations certainly. I'm
Mm.
I'm with you, Brand. So for me, I think the
If
reason they're
that
not
makes
in the top
sense.
10.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, one of the reasons I think they're not on mine is that I really value kind of depth across the thing, across the board. It's 14 weight classes and that sort of thing. I don't know. I mean, if you took those 4 kids, that won state titles, or say those 7 kids who were they brought to the dance, you, you're right. Those 7 kids are tough. I mean, that Frank Bruno went on to wrestle at Ohio. Nordstrom went up to Virginia Tech. I mean, we're just talking some
Yeah.
absolute Trey
Andreas
Lane's now at Gardner Webb.
Andreas Bond won a national championship at NAIA.
So really, really, really good team. So all right, so now we're gonna go to number 7 for Dan's team and number 7 for my team. They didn't make the list for Brant's team, and I think he
Yeah.
already explained why they didn't make the list for him because Southwest Miami in 2022, Daniel, they didn't win a state title.
No, but they 258 points in the regionals, tying South Dade, which was huge. They come into the state tournament, they're leading 75%, 80% of the state tournament IBT, and South Dade, ends up doing what they seem to do on that final day always when they make their runs. It was a deep team. It was a tough team. And I just feel like not to have a Southwest team on this top 10 list is a disservice. I mean, this is a Southwest Miami club I mean, I could go back to stats that you sent me where they were 13 times or something, top three, 38 times in the top whatever since Mick's been there, and runner up how many times to South Dade. And I feel like they've never got a chance to state duels. If they go to the state duels, what would they do in that kind of situation? And I just think they're a product of their situation, the district, the region, and the state being in a dynasty's program, And but I think
Yeah.
Mick does a solid job, and not to show him that respect would be a disservice, especially that 2022 team.
It didn't have anything to do with showing respect or not respect for me. For
I would say
me, it
they're not on my list because I disrespect them. I just want to make that clear.
yeah, for me
Oh,
it's just one of those situations where I think if you took them and put them in comparison to someone else, that 22 team, if you put them in duels, you put them in traditional anywhere other than with South Dade, I bet you money that they make a run and they have a state title. So
yeah.
that's
Over
that's the reason
those
I
years, I
that's the
mean,
reason I have them there. But
how many could they have if that, But again, the Michael Jordan era, how many would the Heat, the Knicks, the Pistons,
I mean,
Um,
remember that year? That's the year South Dade won in the consies, where
yes.
we're looking at point totals on napkins that they had written up the night before, because almost all they had their worst semifinal round maybe in the last 15 years for South Dade, and came back. That was a crazy 3A year with them, Palmetto Ridge, and um, South Dade, and Southwest Miami.
I
Yeah,
agree. All
so
right.
that's why they're there. And I didn't mean that you were disrespecting them, Brand. I just felt like when I was picking
Just want that clear.
when I was picking when I was
Anybody who doesn't do
picking,
this is just
yes,
disrespectful to the whole
no,
program and
but I was
deserves
just
your
saying
hate and
they they
disgust.
they need to get the respect. I think they deserve the respect. Mick does a tremendous job down there, and I think that 2022 team was tough, was really tough.
No
It
doubt. All right,
definitely
so let's
was.
jump to number five and number six. You guys have Jensen Beach 2023 at five, Somerset 2025 at number six. I have the two reversed.
I had them reversed the first time I went through. Like
Oh, did
it
you?
was kind of, I went back and forth.
All
So
right. Can you tell me what was the deciding factor, or is it just kind of how you landed?
it just, I think I put Jensen Beach above, but I don't even know why. Oh, because they won a state dual title. Um, so that's probably what
Ah,
ended up
that's
being
a
the
that's a good
difference.
point. Yeah, that's a
I'm
good
trying
point.
to think back. It's been a rough couple days. Both of these teams to me are on this list at this spot because, I mean,
It's been a
obviously
rough
they're
couple days, like your dog behind you. He
yeah,
looks like he's that, or she's having a really rough day
yeah,
too.
they're having a rough time with. We've had roofers here all week. Um,
She's
both
on
of
her
these
belly.
teams needed to have four titles needed four state titles on Saturday night, and they got four state titles on Saturday night to win, the team title. And there may be better Somerset teams. Uh, you could even argue maybe some of the Jensen Beach teams, but these two teams came up on the biggest stage where they had to come from behind or they had to win, and they had guys step up and win in spots where it made it it made it exciting and well earned.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
agree with you, Dan.
I agree. Yeah, I think the same thing. I looked at both of them. They both won the state titles that year. One of them won a state dual championship. That's that, right? But I think they both scored 170 something points. They both won their respective title by 7 points. I mean, it was
And
almost
I'm looking at this. I should
identical.
have
And
them 3 and 4, but go on.
that's identical to they're almost
Okay.
identical to each other. Both had four state titles, both won at the end. Yeah, I think the state dual champ just waited a little bit, um, but again, it could have been either way. I mean, vice versa. I just think they had a tremendous year. The Sains brothers were just wrestling out of their mind. The young Austin,
Insane.
they were insanes. Yes, they were insanes this year. And then obviously with the young Austin and Shannon and the other kids doing what they did. But yeah, I mean, shout out to and the one thing that was tremendous was for for Joe Blasucci to bring his team up to 2A with some powerhouse teams there and be able to overcome that and win a title. I mean,
So
that's
I
a
think
lot
that's
being said
where
there.
yeah, I think that's where actually my bias came in, right? Because I looked at it and they had lost in the duels and the fact that they put it together and really what Brant said, they had to pull it together to win that title this year. You know, in research, there's this idea of recency bias, and
Yeah.
I know that that exists in this situation. I think maybe if we were doing this in 2023, and you know, I would have been I was just as impressed with the Jensen Beach run because man, their run to get to especially that dual state title and battle through to be able to win that traditional title were tremendous. But for me, what we saw, you know, what Somerset went through just recently plays a huge role, at least for
Yeah.
me. All right.
Yeah,
And I
So,
think
and
honestly, I think I have them 5-6 because I was fighting against recency bias, and they probably both deserve to be higher on my list.
right. And much respect to Joe for coming up and stepping up to that. Look, one of my favorite teams, and I almost put them over this team was Joe's team that won it the year his father passed away.
Yeah.
I think that was a tremendous year for him. Finally got him over the hump there, and I almost leaned towards that team, but this team was just his
Listen, we spent
compete.
all of last year on this podcast talking about how up in the air 2A was, and it wasn't because of mediocrity, it's because there were so many good teams and great teams in 2A. And
yeah,
it was the team race we couldn't wait to watch play out both in duels and in IBT. And this was the team
And
that came,
and
put it together when they
right,
needed to.
and literally it came down to the finals matches this year. I
Yeah.
mean, if if they lose any of those matches,
And,
well,
and
and
and they also had two former Somerset guys that helped them out too. So it was a really crazy night. Two ex
as
Somerset guys beat Jesuit guys.
as fans, that's what you love. As
Yes.
coaches, I'm not 100% sure. I think I'd rather have it in the bank, you know, and enjoy the state finals and let my kids go out and compete. But, you
sure.
know, going back to what Dan said, I think this is where, so number three and number four, we have Lake Gibson and Jesuit. We all have Lake Gibson number three. We all have Jesuit number four. The only difference is what Dan just brought up with the Somerset crew, and that is picking the right year.
Yeah.
What was the year to pick? Were you both picked the 2018 Gibson team, the 2022 Jesuit team? I picked the 2020 Gibson team, the 2024 Jesuit team. What was the decision making? I'll start
Well,
with, so I'm going to let you, Dan, I'm going to let you start, but I want you to tell me, I want you to pick Gibson or Jesuit and talk in detail about why you picked that over another year.
so understanding your picks better now because you just spoke about depth,
Depth.
wanting depth. So you probably took into consideration they brought more to the dance. However, in my case, the 2018 was just loaded, but also it was the year that they overcame the hump. It was the big year that they finally surpassed Brandon. It was the year 17, they were so close. Um, but 2018, they come in, they win the state dual champ. They beat Brandon. They put up 160 points. They've got seven placers. Look, 19, arguably 19 and 20 might have had a stronger lineup, but what 18 was able to do with the pressure and overcome it, I thought was huge, especially for Walker and his staff. As far as 2022, Murderer's Row, baby. I mean, this thing, I
For
remember putting out
Jesuit.
for
For Jesuit.
Jesuit. I mean, I remember putting out a graphic that year that said Murderer's Row that had Lermer and had the Crooks and had Basil and had Desciante. Did I say that right? I hope so. And had
Yeah.
McCall and Vargas, everybody. I mean, one, two, three, four, five come home with gold, one with silver, who ends up going on and winning three golds. You know, five kids that go on to Division I programs. Two of them.
So for you, there was no debate
Yeah,
about it
no
would be
debate.
the.
Three of them. Three of those kids have already wrestled in the NCAA tournament. I mean, this team just packed a huge punch, and I didn't take into consideration any depth of any other year they had. I looked at that and was like, to me, even from that year, they always seemed to me to be absolutely loaded, and I loved that 2022 team.
All right, Brant. So going to back to Gibson real quick.
Okay.
Was it the storyline?
It's completely storyline for me. Listen, we spent, well, I didn't, but coaches in this state spent 10, 15, 20 years fighting for state duels to make them happen. In the first year we have them happen, one of the teams we're going to talk about won 72-0 in the final. And in the other final, South Dade won. I can't remember the scores. Wasn't 72-0, but it was
It was
pretty set.
dominant.
It
Yeah,
was by a
63 to
lot to
9
a
or
little.
something.
And
By a lot to a little.
and Lake Gibson Riverdale had everybody on the edge of their seat. And I one of the lasting memories of things I've seen is Daniel Walker's leap after they clinched it.
By 1 point.
And it was so important. I
Against Chris
think
Hayward.
against his mentor and legendary coach. It was so important, not necessarily who won that one, but just for something to be that exciting and kind of loop it in. And I'm not saying that's why we still have state duels, but it, I think, solidified, all right, this should happen and it can be good. And every year we've had good ones since, but that was the first one that stuck out, and it was that first year. That went a long way for me picking this team and having them so high up on the list because of significance, I think, in Florida wrestling history in the last 10 years. And then to build off what Dan said also, this was a team that had been right there trying to win that state title. And admittedly, they'll even say in 2017, they maybe weren't quite ready because the door was open for them. And they learned a lot from that and came back the next year and won. And you look at some of the guys on that team, Chase Ayers and Ashton Habil, they both won titles, but you have Shannon Hanna, reaching a final. We all know what he's gone on to become, and they end up with 7 placers. There's every other team on our list has more placers, but they were able to kind of start changing the narrative in 2A. It was the first team to beat Brandon, and then it kind of has just kind of gone from there for both their program and I think in 2A. And so historical significance of that team is why I had them so high up.
Yeah.
All right. So was there, like Dan, was there any debate as far as what the year would be for Jesuit?
For me, no.
Yeah, for me, no, zero debate. I mean, 2022, irregardless of not winning the state duel, they won the state IBT by 40 points. They just, I don't, those 1, 2, I mean, those kids were unbelievable. And
so what was it? What was it for you, Brant?
Well, when you
was it the murderer's road, like Dan said?
When you first sent out this awful text that we're going to do this show, and if we don't do it, we're going to pay the price. There were 4 teams that popped into my head.
Baby, Coldplay.
Yeah. There were 4 teams that popped in my head. 2 we haven't talked about: the Lake Gibson team and their significance, and this Jesuit team, because it wasn't the deepest team, and they went to the state tournament, the IBT, and they had to perform. They did not have the depth even that they have now, but they had Roman Lermer, Braden Bazile, Tom Crook, Jack Crook. I mean, they had just monsters, and they went in and they all won state titles, and they ended up making what could have been a really close 2A race not that close because of how their big guns performed. And that just stood out to me. Have they had deeper teams? Yes, they've had a state dual title team. They now, when they're in the state duels, they don't forfeit 2-3 weights. It is a deeper program now. But this team had to win with their big guns, and their big guns didn't even flinch, and that's why it's always stood out to me.
Well, and that's why I mean, and I've explained it before, but that's why I went with the 2024 team. They put up 201 points. They beat Gibson by more than 50 points. They didn't win a state dual team title, but they had 10 placers. They had 5 finalists, 3 champs, 8 in the top 3. So again, this is just simply an illustration. Look, there's no looking past the Crooks and Basil and that crew. There is no doubt. But again, how we define team, how we just started this conversation today, plays a huge role in who you pick and how you put them in order. And for me, I look for depth. I look for 14 weight classes where somebody's up. And I'll be the first person to say, the 2020 team set the standard or set the foundation for what we saw with Crook and Basil and all of them. They continued it. And 2024, 2025 teams are reaping this just benefit because they have all 14 weight classes. They can go out and compete with anybody, in my
So,
opinion.
so my question is, you wouldn't put more value, or it wouldn't be more impressive to win it with less people?
So, so I think that I, okay. The way I always think about this is I could have five NCAA champions on my team, right? Future NCAA champions on my team. If I gave up eight forfeits, I lose every single duel. Every single duel. I lose
Yeah.
every
So,
single duel.
well, both those teams lost a duel.
No, but
So as
I
far as
but I
IBT,
lose every I'm talking about I lose a duel to the JV kids down the road. I lose every duel. Five kids do not make a team.
okay, well, it's splitting hairs,
I
2022
mean,
and
2022
2024.
had 8 wrestlers in the top
No, no,
four.
no, no, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
not I'm not I'm not saying
Yeah.
2022. I'm
I
just
Yeah.
mean,
saying I'm saying that for me,
Right.
you
And yeah.
know, you look we're going to look at some teams here coming up, right?
yeah, we have zero debate in the top two.
Right. We're going to have some teams up top who have satisfied both criteria of studs and a full
Depth.
team that is just unbelievable hammers. Okay.
Everybody
Most
making the
most
podium.
teams don't have these things. Most
Right.
teams just don't have it, and they find a way. Good coaches find a way to get those wins, and so I think that that's kind of where my
Which was
bias.
impressive, by this year's Somerset and Mater Lakes team, that they both being 12 or 13 kids, they put a lot of kids on the podium. I think that really gave some depth here. But going into these top two,
Yeah,
I,
before we go there, I wanted to just give a real quick say why I picked the Lake Gibson team that I picked
Yes.
from 2020. So I agree with you guys in that the storyline from 2018 was huge. I mean, both of the storylines you guys talked about, huge. They did have seven total placers. The 2020 team had 11 total placers. They had pretty close to the same number of champs and finalists. 2020 had a little bit more. I could argue one of the most exciting duels I think I've seen was Gibson trying to fight against the team that you just talked about in that Jesuit team and
yeah.
trying to overcome those hammers, and they weren't able to do so. And Jesuit, I believe, won 29-27 or something like that in that state duels in 2020. So anyway,
But I agree with you. 11 of the 12 kids they brought to the dance placed, made the podium. It was a stud team, and maybe one of their best ever. I'm
well,
talking to,
224 points. I mean, that
Yeah.
is
yeah,
That's a lot.
that's a lot
yeah.
of points.
So a stud. I did like the storyline, about the state duel and about beating Brandon and about doing all that. So that's why I
Yeah.
think that way.
All right, number one and number two. Let's go to number two. This was a very difficult thing, I think, because there was just so much to pick from. There was no doubt they were going to be one or
Uh,
two. The question was, how did we all come up with the 2023 South Dade squad? And I guess the question that I float to Brant first, was it simply the number of individuals, 14 total
uh,
placers? Is that really the thing that pushed them over the other South Day teams?
for me,
Yeah.
for
I
me, it was
mean,
too.
that's you sent 14. in 3A, big classification, and you placed all 14. I don't know if anybody else has done that other than the team in the top spot. I don't think anyone else has ever had 14 placers. Uh, Now, granted, you have an eighth placer, so that was, that it's just recently you've had all those spots, but you spent 14 wrestlers, 14 places. I think you could argue the 24 South Dade team was maybe a touch better. They scored more points.
Hmm.
They were even more dominant. This team won by the 2023 team won by 130 points. The 2024 team won by more than 150 points. Uh, I mean, it's apples and oranges, right? They're all great teams. South Dade has so many teams to choose from. So what made it easy for me, I was like, all right, 14 placers. That's pretty good. I'm going to pick them.
No,
Yeah,
I agree with you. Yeah, Dan.
when you sent out this as Brant would say, this terrible text to us wanting to do this, yeah, like I said, there was like he said, there were four teams that came to my mind, and right off the bat, the one team was the 2023 South Dade that put 14 on the podium. I mean, this,
Yep.
how do you,
Again,
uh,
it's the historical stuff that played such
yeah.
a role in
I
my
mean, look,
picks.
let's be honest. We could take a bunch of South Dade teams, put their years on little pieces of paper and throw them in a hat and pick one out. We're probably not going to be wrong, but they didn't have 14 placers. This team
So
was
I
depth
really
loaded
struggled with
and
this one. And I really struggled with it because
The depth
these
guy struggled with the
this
team that had 14
I
placers.
know, I know.
and
But
depth
the
and depth.
searing, shut up. The searing image I have in my head is the 10 individuals prepping to go out in the 3A state
Yeah,
finals
like a dual meet.
from like a dual meet in the largest classification against some of the best teams in the entire state. And they pretty much brought their entire squad to the state finals, to the absolute individual state finals.
Uh,
So for me, it came down to 23-24, and I'm going, but I leaned to 23 because of the 14 state placers. But I do have that image of those 10
yeah, the picture.
10
I
finalists,
have the
man. That
picture of
picture,
all of
yeah.
them
Yeah.
in their white jumpsuits
It was
I
out
mean,
pretty it's
there.
pretty
I mean,
cool,
the
dude.
last 2 years they put 19 in the finals. It's been crazy just
Yeah.
how they've been able to do that.
All
So
right. So we now move to our number one team. Again, um, trying to decide which of the teams should be which of the years from this squad should be put there. Now, I think we all felt that Lake Highland Prep was going to be number one. Um, I think the only thing that if you sat in the state tournament, everybody would kind of chirp at Lake Highland Prep in that you're down in 1A. You're down in 1A. That's the reason you have this dominance. That's the reason for this. That's the reason for that. And then, they go up to the Iron Man
Hmm.
and they go all over the country and they're beating the best teams in the country. And I think that's when you go, oh, okay, it's not just 1A, man. Like they can do it anywhere.
yep.
Um, and there was a lot of discussion about what was the best team. I think it was pretty evident, but just give me your thought process. Daniels, we'll start with you. What was your thought process on settling on 2018?
I mean, what wasn't? I mean, they win 1A by over 200 points. They score over 300 points. 14 kids in the top three, seven gold medalists. They're the state build champ by blanking people. I mean, will we ever see a 14 team squad at the FHSAA put everybody in the top three again? I mean, I hope so, but it's not
I don't.
likely.
I doubt it.
Yeah, it's not. I mean,
Unless
it's
it's
not
the Cobra
likely.
Wrestling High School team. I
Right.
don't.
Yeah. I mean, it's not likely. I don't think that that's going to happen again. And then just looking through this list of kids, I mean, they were built for this. They were ready for this, and they got the job done. And I don't know that, you know, any team
So
that we've seen will ever compete with that team there. I mean,
Before
it's unbelievable.
before I pivot to Brant,
Yes.
Dan sent a message to Mike Palazzo and asked him which of those teams, and we were actually really kind of debating the 2018 versus the 2025 team, which was ineligible for this conversation. But one of the things that kind of surprised me was that Coach Palazzo said, the 2017 team might have been as good or better than the
Yeah.
2018.
No, no, no. He said was really good as well.
Oh, it was really good as well. So he didn't
Yes.
say
No, he said
2018 or 2017 was
2017
better.
was really good as well. And he said, I'm looking forward to 2026.
Got it. All right.
I mean, the
So
2017 scored 298.5 points. They had 8 champs, one more champ than the 2018 team. They had 13 placers. Uh, yeah, 2020
yeah,
team had 8 champs, 12 placers. I mean, there's a lot to choose from.
yeah, no, that
Yeah.
it's. I mean, I think
I don't
I,
think
I
we
think
could
the
have been.
2018 team was the only team in the state that has ever gone over 300 points,
Yes.
Yeah.
and they didn't just go over it by like 302.
Right.
So all right,
They
Brant.
killed it.
Was there any
And
discussion
let's be honest.
2018?
These top two teams could have put these top two squads programs, these top two programs could have put a number of teams throughout this list, but we
Oh,
wanted to keep it.
absolutely.
Yeah, trying to
I mean,
pick one
this
per
isn't the
team.
Lake Highland Prep South Dade show. I mean, this is we're talking about Florida, so
Right,
it
right,
has
right.
to be that way. Brant,
What's outrageous about the 2018 team is I remember talking to Coach Palazzo after and being upset because they lost 5 finals. I mean, this is a team that only lost 7 matches, I think, the whole weekend with 14 wrestlers there. I mean, that's just insane. And yeah, they had some teams who had one more champ, but just the way that everybody came through and finished in the top. I mean, lose just 7 points. They gave up 9 points in the 3 state duels matches. I know that probably one of his most satisfactory performances was blanking Cardinal Gibbons in the finals. I know that he really
hmm
liked that one. That was a big one. 72-0 in the state duel final. Supposedly the top 2 teams in 1A battling out in the state duels, and they win 72-0. And he probably wanted it to be 84-0. This was just a team that clicked. You had guys, you had the superstars on like that upper level and Busakis and Joey Silva, and you had up and comers and leaders like Ben Golden, but you had young guys that came through. And I remember the thing I remember about this team in 2017 and in 2018 is you had Curtis Ruff at heavyweight, who was not on the same experience level coming into the program, and the team rallied around him. You would see Ben Golden working out with him between matches, between rounds. You'd see Logan Andrew working with. They really worked hard to pull each other up. They really wanted 14 champs. I mean, that was the goal of this team, and to have the big superstars helping everybody to try to get there. Um, like I said, I don't think I ever want to see it again. I'm with you, Jason. The dominance took some of the fun away, but getting the chance to cover and see that team was something special because it was, I think, a once in a lifetime kind of thing we watched.
I agree. I agree. So just a shout out, there are other programs. We mentioned Riverdale, we've mentioned Cardinal Gibbons. Fleming Island over the years has had some really, really great program or really, really great teams. I think the team that we might be including in this list in the future might be a St. John Newman team coming up.
Yeah,
You know, there's a Palm Bay team. There's a lot of teams that could have been part of this
Yeah.
list. It was hard to narrow it
I
down.
guess we'll do the best 10 best runner-ups.
Maybe we should. I don't.
Well, I think we're starting to
That's
see
the
a lot
text
of
I'm getting next
programs,
week.
right? We're starting to see a lot of pro. Look what
And come
Golf
back for
Breeze.
our episode 4 weeks down the line where we
Yeah,
pick the
look
best
what
number 4 teams to finish in the state
yeah,
of Florida in
look
the
what
past 10 years.
Golf Breeze is doing. You see George Jenkins coming up. You see,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
Yeah.
gotta
Well,
tell you,
and
I'm watch
uh,
watch this professional move. And that's why next week we're going to talk about the preseason top 5 in each classification according to Carver Wrestling. I've
That's
gone
right.
through, and off the information I know
Boom.
so far, I have picked a top 5 for each classification, which we will announce
Including
next
the
week
girls?
to discuss. Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Because we did not cover the girls
We
today.
did not cover it on this one because they have not had 10 years. We've had 4 years of official, sanctioned girls wrestling. But yes, all 4 classifications. I've picked out a top 5. I've actually picked out a top 11 that only the 3 of us will see. But the top 5 will be what is published and
Okay.
talked about.
So if you guys see here, everybody, this is
Yeah, my list is
our
already different than it would have been.
wow. This is the list, guys. The final list of everything right here from 10 all the way up
To
to
one.
1. So
Well, and
interesting.
just so everybody knows, this is actually what prompted me to suggest this to the two of them because, or what Brant just said, and that is next week we're going to talk about the top 5 teams coming into this year. And I thought a little historical perspective, looking back,
Yeah.
at some of the
Yeah,
best teams for the last decade was a good way
yeah.
to
And it'll
lead
be
into
fun because
that.
it's the top 5 teams going into this year per class. So it'll be 1A, 2A, 3A. Now
Call
Brant
it
And
may
a
girls.
little early
yeah,
preseason
Brant may
rankings.
throw in a pound for pound, but who knows? But
There's not going to be a pound for pound.
Only if there's another Coldplay video.
only if there's another Coldplay video.
Just as long as
Uh,
there's no video of us at the Yankee game.
oh, there you go. Uh, well,
Anyway,
I mean, it could be worse. You could be an Ohio State fan.
OH.
oh, no doubt. All right. So, as we wrap this up, guys, first, thanks for indulging me in this conversation. I just think it's
Yes.
actually really interesting to talk about. Um,
I'm turning all
everyone else.
forwards on my email to go to him. So if you email
Yes.
me, it's automatic forward to
And I'll
Jason.
reply as Brant Parsons.
Yes.
But I will say, as we wrap this up, like everybody can have their own opinion. Like you guys can all, I mean, look, this is all about promoting the sport, having a good
Yes.
time, talking about it. You might differ in what you put your value in. That's cool. That's great. It's
Yeah.
not a slight on anyone else. It's just that's kind of how we see it.
And please post below what you think your top
Yeah,
10 is.
exactly.
Let's see what you got.
That's right. All
I
right,
like it.
guys. You ready for this top 5, Brant? I can't
Oh yeah,
wait, man.
I'm
I
gonna
haven't
email him
seen it
to you.
yet.
I'm gonna email. I didn't
Me
want you guys
either.
to see him before the show. I'm gonna send. As I said, I've got 10 or 11, so you guys have some other teams to see where they're located. But as far as the public, they will only know Cowboy Wrestling's top 5 teams for the August reveal as we get closer to the season.
Well, I
That
can't
sounds
wait.
awesome. Yeah, man. All right, guys. See you. Peace.
See you.